What's up, all you can learn guitarians out there? We're going to do another little lesson. Today we're going to keep it mellow. What we're going to do is we're going to learn how to solo, but you don't need to worry about scales or any of that kind of stuff. We're going to play right out of the chords. So I'm going to show you different positions on the neck where some of your chords are at, and you can just solo right out of those notes. Alright, so as always, click the links below. There's always tons of good stuff for you down there. Let's get to it. So in this one, we're just going to take an A chord, A major, to D major, to G major, back to A major. Now you can do that like this. Or the power chord way. So what we're going to do is we're going to learn just 3 different shapes, right? And then we're going to learn how to solo out of those, but we're going to learn 3 different inversions of chords. So on this A chord, we're going to have an open A, all 2nd fret. Now, if you were to take that same A chord right here, that's going to give you, we're going to play on the D string down. That would give you 7, 6, 5, 5. Also, we could have this position here, which is kind of like a C chord, which would be pinky on the 12th fret, 3rd finger on the 11th fret, and then you're going to bar all the way down across the 9th fret with your 1st finger. And then your 2nd finger is going to be on this 10th fret, which gets you, right? But you can also just basically do like a D shape if you just want the triad. All right, so we got, again, so there we go. Those are 3 different spots for just that A chord that you can use. Now we're going to do that exact same thing with every chord. So, when you're playing that A chord, to D, to G, so over the A chord we could go, all that is I'm just going straight down the A chord, so that's D, G, B, back to G, and then I'm just going to this 3rd fret B string and pulling off. So we got. Now I'm going to do the same thing in the D chord, and all I'm doing is I'm sliding that up to the 7th fret, and that's going to get me that D chord. Now I could do the same thing with the G, and slide up to the 12th fret, and then go straight back to the A. So we got. Now we can also expand on those notes a little bit. We got. And all I'm doing there is I'm taking out of the major pentatonic, but it's just B string, 5th fret, 3rd fret, 2nd fret. And then I'm going to go G string, 4th fret. And then right out of the... Same thing here. G. So that's one way we can do it. Now we can also take the other inversions of the chord. Let's take the power chord versions. So in this case, that A is going to be on the 5th fret, 7th, 7th of the A and D. The 2nd finger is going to be on the G string, 6th fret, and then this 1st finger is going to bar the whole 5th fret. Now we're just going to move this shape around, This note right here on the low E string is what's called the root note. So if we move this A note to the D, which is on the 10th fret, that moves the whole chord. So we can keep that same shape and then go down to the G note, and we have the same thing. Right? So we can do the same, but the pattern's a little different now. So we got 7th fret, 6th fret, 5th fret. So we're just going straight down and we're making an arpeggiated version of the chord, and that just means in arpeggio, you hear that all the time, people sweep and just blaze over them. Well, the real definition is just the notes of a chord played separately. So we got... I'm just going straight down. So this is D string, G string, B string, B string. And I'm just catching that up a whole step from where that first finger is, which is 2 frets. And then going back to the G and the D string. Sliding down to the 5th, 4th, and 3rd. So you can add, you can go to the 7th fret B, 7th fret G here. And then the last version we have is we're going to do what looks like a D chord. So there's the D triad. Now we got to find out where the A and the G are. So to do this, we're going to take a C shape. So again, our root note now is going to be where our pinky is. So it's going to look like that C shape. So like you're playing a C chord and your first finger is a bar, right? So it looks just like that. This is the root note of the chord. So if this is D, then we know we got a G right here. And then A is just up a whole step from that. So if we're just taking the bottom D shape of that chord, what we're going to have is D's right here, 2nd fret. G is going to be at this 7th fret. And on the 9th fret, get that A, so we can have we can switch pickups, make it sound a little more, edge-like, add some delay or something. So those are basically major versions. You can do the same thing on a minor, or let's mix minor and major together chords. So we're going straight out of like a A minor chord progression. So let's do A minor, G major, and F major. So we can do the same thing chord-wise. We can go. Right, so I'm just playing on the D, G, and B strings. Now this A minor shape is going to be 7th fret and then basically bar the 5th fret from the G string down. Or you can go from the D string down. But this finger's on the D string as well, so that's the 7th fret. Now we're going to have that same major triad that we went over before, that one. So it's going to be 5, 4, and 3. 5, 4, and 3. 5, 4, and 3. Now we're going to go down a whole step, and we're going to have 3, 2, and 1 on the D, G, and B strings. So I'm just mixing up the notes of those right there. So we got, I know this note's in the A minor pentatonic, so I'm just going to grab that 8th fret B string. Right, so that's just an easy way to kind of solo if you're not really familiar with all your scales. You're just playing right over what the chords are. So in each chord, there's a triad, and with the third, if it's a major or minor, it's either a normal third or a flatted third, which makes it minor. So if we're in this major chord right here, this note right here is our third. And to make it minor, all we're doing is taking off that second finger. Now conversely, on the 5th string down, we have, let's take this D chord. So it's going to be 5, 7, 7, 7. Right here is your third on this B string. So we got, to make it minor, we just flat that third. So we got, right? So get familiar with what those chords sound like, and then find those same notes in 3 spots. So we're going to take the chords, find that chord in 3 different spots of the neck, and just memorize 2 shapes of it, or 3 shapes of it if you're going to do 3. You can do 2. Start off with 2, and then learn 3. And then once you learn those basic shapes, you can apply it to any chord. Once you get those down, go with your, minor 7th, major 7th, inversions, and so forth, and then get those under your fingers. But for now, just take those basic major and minor chords and play a simple pattern like A, like we were doing, to the D, to the G, to the A. Or the minor version, we were going A minor, G major, F major, G major, back to A. You're real familiar with the real kind of Hendrixy sounding stuff. So anyways, that's another person that would incorporate something like that a lot is Jimi Hendrix. He plays right out of those chord shapes all the time and all that right over the chord progression that he's doing. It's used very frequently. So get those under your fingers, and that's a great place to start for leads. All right? Get you next time. Guitar Jams. Check out that site. Or Marty's Songs, another great site. Tons and tons and tons of tunes. He's taught every song ever known to man. Yeah. Catch you next time.